Chardonnay is one of the most planted white grape varieties in the world because it adapts to any climate and terroir. And as a result, it can taste completely different based upon where it's from. You can find Chardonnay in cooler regions all throughout Europe, but also in warmer regions such as in California. And today we're going to break down two iconic Chardonnay winemaking regions and why they taste so different. The first region is going to be Chablis in northern Burgundy in France, next to a Sonoma Coast AVA Chardonnay grown in Sonoma County in North Coast, California. My name is Michael Miller, and I'm the Product Education Manager at Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits here in Indiana. Thanks for joining me today. Let's dive in. Chardonnay is indigenous to Burgundy, France, but today it grows all over the world. It's often referred to as the winemaker's grape because so much of the final character is shaped in the wine cellar. Everything from fermentation temperature to barrel aging techniques to lees aging to malolactic fermentation, all of these winemaking practices will add to the final style. Chardonnay at its core produces a pale to golden color, and it has notes of citrus, pear, apple, almond skin, a little bit of hazelnut, but on the palate it's more of a moderate to moderate plus acidity, moderate body, and it has this rich round mouthfeel to it. When we're discussing New World versus Old World, we're simply talking about geographic climatic conditions that affect the wine growing process. Normally in the Old World, it's a much cooler climate than what the New World is. So for example, in Burgundy, France, they have a much more cooler continental climate, which means that the grapes ripen slower. They retain higher levels of acidity with diminished alcohol. But in the New World, in the United States, in California, for example, where they grow Chardonnay in Sonoma Coast, it's a lot sunnier, a lot warmer conditions, which means that the grapes ripen fuller and they have more richer, deeper style fruits and a more fuller bodied mouthfeel. So in addition to the climate, you also want to talk about the soil structure, which that's very important when you're growing Vitis vinifera grapes like Chardonnay. In Chablis, they have a soil type there called Kimmeridgian, which is filled with these ancient oyster shells from old seabeds, millions of years old, where in California, along the Pacific coastline, you have Gold Ridge loam filled with volcanic sedimentary subsoil, and sandstone, which contributes more to texture and richness. Lastly, you want to talk about winemaking practices and philosophy. In the Old World, they tend to use less usage of new oak barrel. They rely more on the overall terroir, and there's minimal manipulation inside the winery itself. Now, in the New World, we tend to use more new oak barrel to employ more richness, more texture. We also do extended lees aging, and we employ malolactic fermentation, which gives the wine a completely different mouthfeel. These very subtle differences give completely different expressions of the exact same grape. Chablis is the northernmost region in Burgundy, France, and is one of the coolest temperature regions in the world for growing Chardonnay. And because of these cooler temperatures, the grapes ripen very slow, they preserve that great acidity, and the end result is a wine that feels focused, precise, and razor sharp. Domaine Vauquerey is a family-run wine estate focused on purity and site expression. Their 2022 Chablis is a beautiful wine, aged and fermented in stainless steel, no oak aging whatsoever, and they really let the terroir kind of speak for itself. Expect to find notes of green apple, lemon zest, oyster shell with a crisp linear finish. Chardonnay that grows on Sonoma's coast benefits from cooler fog and breezes from the Pacific Ocean. While it's much warmer than where Chablis is in Burgundy, France, the average annual temperature is mitigated by the oceanic breeze that blows through the vineyards, which slows down the ripening process and preserves all that beautiful fruit and acidity. La Crema produces very elegant coastal-driven style Chardonnays that emphasize not only terroir but also winemaking techniques such as barrel aging, lees aging, partial malolactic fermentation, which all add more complexity and more body to the final wine. Now look for notes of baked apple, pear, brioche, vanilla that kind of give the final wine a much richer, creamier mouthfeel. Chablis from Burgundy, France, and Sonoma Coast from California may grow the same grape, but they could not be more different in terms of style and flavor profile. Chablis is going to be more sharp, precise, mineral-driven, and restrained, where Sonoma Coast is going to be more textured, more rich, and more fruit-forward. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure that you subscribe, click like, and stick around. Plenty more quick highlights coming your way. Cheers.